Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. It is Thanksgiving down in the U.S., so we've already had one football game today. The Packers with a big win. Big win over the Lions.
Dude. You're like a ticker. You just keep mentioning it every 3 minutes.
Well, it's basically breaking news.
Down.
I mean, the game just ended just over an hour ago, and the Packers are now 5-6. Detroit 8-3. Dan Campbell getting carved up. Dan Campbell tries a fake punt on his own 23. It goes awry. Like, that's what you get with Dan Campbell, right? He's going to do some goofy stuff. And
he was in L.A. a couple of weeks ago, and it was fourth and I don't know what it was, but he went for it and he got it, and that just fuels the fire, man.
That's it. And listen, to his credit, you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword sometimes. And they were down a couple touchdowns at that point. He's like, I got to try to spark something. He tried.
Dude, no kidding. In L.A., when he pulled it off, they were saying, that's Dan Campbell. That's the way he's aggressive. He goes for it. And then when it doesn't work, you got to chew on it.
Yep, exactly.
Right,
and as long as you stay consistent to who you are, like I've got a lot of time for that. But the Lions, their defense really struggling, man, really struggling. Jared Goff had 3 lost fumbles today. And now the Cowboys and the Commanders are underway. It's still 0-0, about 10 minutes into that game. And Al's brother and I have laid a big number on Dallas. It's like 12.5, so we need some points here and quick. But Luke Willson will join us here in a few moments, and we'll get to the Gregg Popovich stuff from last night. If you missed it, you won't believe it. You won't believe it.
Were you mad at it? Were you mad at that when you saw that?
Yes, I can't get into it now because I won't stop. I will talk about it for 25 minutes straight.
I thought it was hilarious.
We'll get into it later. We're going to play it in like 20 minutes. We'll get into that. Steve Kerr, just old, crusty guys in the NBA.
Yeah, there was some.
And the Leafs are back in action tomorrow, and we spent a good time talking about, how weird it's been the last 2 weeks and the opportunity they have in front of them tomorrow with Chicago not being a great team. And then you're in Pittsburgh on Saturday, and Pittsburgh's, 9-9? They're not off to a great start either. Like, you can come home and keep pushing this forward pretty nicely the next 2 days. But if you take either team lightly, you're in trouble, right? It's still the National Hockey League. That building will be rocking. Bedard will be flying around.
Yeah.
And Chicago already got you earlier in the season, right? We went down. We were all 3 of us went in the building. We went to see it. These were terrible that night.
Terrible, man.
Yeah, it was a Monday night. It was game 3. Like, it was a weird.
I don't care when it was, where it was. It was terrible.
It was awful. They were awful that night.
Yeah, lifeless.
And so you'd think redemption should be, in store for the Leafs. But once you get to Saturday, it's Kyle Dubas. And like everything, in today's day and age, you let something breathe for a while, it just disappears, right? And I think that's what the case is going to be on Saturday night. I think it'll be different when Dubas comes to Toronto if he does media. I don't know if he will. But if he decides to meet with the media, and I don't think he will, because I think he'll know no one is going to care about Pittsburgh if he does media here. Right. If he does a scrum with Toronto media, no one's going to be like, tell us about how Chris Letang's doing. Like, it'll be, why'd you leave? How'd you leave? What do you make of the Leafs?
But he can also diffuse it, Hazy, where he just can not do it, and then he leaves town, and then it's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's true. If you do it once, it is over, right? Because Dubas very well could be in the league for the next 20 years.
And I get it, but what other GM comes to Toronto and talks other than just being the former Leaf GM? Like, what GMs don't talk here.
No, they don't. Not on the road, they don't.
So it's almost like a built-in excuse where he could be like, GMs don't talk to the media. Why would you want to talk to me? Other than being the former Leaf. I get it.
He knows, though. You can't be naive. He knows why they want to talk to him.
And you know what? Obviously. He can give him the 2-minute blurb where it's like, I like Pittsburgh. It's home now, and we're trying to win some games. And I'm not getting into how I left here or why it happened and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Like, that's what he's going to say, so why even go there?
We might have a prepared statement. Not a prepared, but you go out and you do your 2 minutes, you take a couple. But I don't know. Kyle likes, not that he likes it, but he seemed like he didn't have a problem doing media here in Toronto. He
doesn't, Jamie, but if anybody get into the exit and how it happened, he's just not going to get into details, so it's why bother?
Yeah. I can see it both ways. Like, conventional wisdom would suggest the opposing team, their GM, does not talk, right? Might do interviews, though, right? We'll come into town and call into a show like this, right? And Dubas isn't going to do that. He wouldn't do it when he was the Leafs GM. He's not coming on here when he's the Penguins GM.
Yeah, we've had guys like Billy Guerin and other guys call
all
in
the time.
And do yeah.
We get GMs on all the time. Like many of, and again, will Dubas come on in 3 years? Maybe 10. Like the guy's a young guy. If he plans on working in the league for the next 30 years, he's going to run into media types. He's going to do shows. He's going to do media, and I'm sure he is in Pitt. But in Pittsburgh, it's comfortable. They only care about the Penguins. Why would they care about what's going on up here? But it obviously will be reverse, if he comes here, because people are going to want to talk to him about Toronto and leaving and what he makes of the Leafs. And, that's just that's the reality. And I think I could make the case, I guess I am, that it might be in his best interest for a young guy that's going to be in the league for a long time. Just do it, get it over with, and it's over.
Yeah.
Talk to the media, do your thing, see you later. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, because again, the Leafs are going to be in Pittsburgh on Saturday, in Chicago tomorrow. John Klingberg placed on long-term IR today. More on that later this afternoon. Bruce Boudreau in about an hour. Richard Griffin on these Bo Bichette rumors in about an hour and a half. But we're tracking the Cowboys and the Commanders, and I have to be honest, it's not looking so great early on in terms of laying a massive number. Because Hayes and Bro laid 12.5, and it's currently 0-0, almost at the end of the first quarter, and that is a little bit troublesome. But I will say this: Dallas is charging. They are on the charge, and they are well into Washington Commander territory. So I think points might be going on the board very soon. But earlier this afternoon, we saw the Packers dismantle the Detroit Lions. That's what it was. It was a dismantling.
Dominating.
29-22.
Bring in Luke.
Yeah.
And here is the man who was convinced that the Detroit Lions would win by 8 or more points. And it turned out to be quite the opposite. Here is our TSN NFL analyst, one half of Timo and Wilson. Here's Luke Willson. How are we feeling this afternoon, Luke?
Agitated. Very agitated.
As you should. I mean,
Partsy,
what happened
I'm like
today,
Partsy, I'm like an assistant GM that's looking for more responsibility. I think I have to be included in some of the meetings that we're coming up with decisions. You owe me that, Partsy.
I mean, Oda, were you going to take the Pack?
No, but
the points were the play. It was the play. Like, it was the play. And you know why it was the play. I'll allow him to reveal why.
How am I supposed to think that Dan Campbell is going to call the most generic punt fake on fourth down your own territory? Jared Goff looked like he belonged at Rice University today. I mean, I cannot fathom that these quote-unquote new-look Lions, who are a head and shoulders better than this team, who's not playing with Aaron Jones on offense, come out here and take the epic beatdown they just did. This is a team that is apparently supposed to be fighting for the 1 seed. This team stunk today. I mean, it's terrible, and that's 2 games in a row. I would have thought maybe they learned their lesson from letting Chicago hang around last week. I'm at a complete loss for words on how bad the Detroit Lions look today. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're bad, man. And I saw this tweet earlier today that since Week 7, when they went into Baltimore, and you guys actually took them against Baltimore, and they got roasted. They are 31st in defensive success rate.
For the info.
32nd in defensive EPA per play. Quarterbacks are averaging a time to throw of over 3 seconds. So, and that's what I saw today. Now, a lot of this was self-inflicted. Jared Goff lost 3 fumbles. That is really tough to do. And 1 went into the house, right? He had a fumble 6 early in the first half, and that really set the tone basically for the rest of the game. But Goff was brutal today. But I thought Jordan Love played really well, and I thought he had time. He was slicing, dicing, and really I never felt uncomfortable. Like I always felt like once the Packers got a lead, they were going to close. And I think it says something about what Green Bay's doing. They've all of a sudden won a bunch of ball games. They're up to 5-6, and I would be terrified if I was in Detroit that the old Lions are starting to come back to life here, because something ain't right in that team, man. I know they're still 8-3, but they do not look good recently.
It's kind of mind blowing again. And as much as I'd love to sit here and tell you that I think the Packers are, a really stout team. I mean, I don't think that. I think that
they're not.
Played a very vulnerable defensive secondary in the Chargers, and Jordan Love looked good. And like you said, the Lions came out here today on a nationally televised game, a division game, Thanksgiving, at home, and probably couldn't have played much worse, which is an embarrassment for them. And where my head goes, and I know Lions fans are going to be all over me for this, but imagine a great offense playing this defense right now. Like, imagine they can't stop Jalen Reed and Christian Watson and Jordan Love. What's going to happen if you have to see Philly either you're in Philly or at home in the playoffs, and it's A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Hurts? I mean, they might score 60 at this rate. Fields is putting up points. Like, I don't understand how they're this bad defensively. And on the flip side, like, what has happened to Jared Goff the last 2 weeks is beyond me.
Yeah, it's not good, man. It's really not good. And listen, Detroit's still likely going to win the division, but I understand my bias is thick. I mean, it is when it comes to the Packers, but they're still the youngest team in the league. There's still flaws there. I think what's scary for Detroit is they had injuries. Aaron Jones was hurt. Alexander was hurt. Like, that's their starting running back, their best corner. They had legitimate injuries. Musgrave is out. Like, they had injuries going into Detroit on a short week, and they dismantled the Lions. They're at Kansas City next week, but then they've got Giants, Tampa, Carolina, the Bears. Like, they could still get to 9-8 here, Luke. Maybe 10-7. Like, they got another game against Minnesota. Like, I'm starting to kind of believe the Packers are going to sniff a playoff spot at this point.
I would agree with that statement, especially because one of the teams that's in there right now, and it pains me to say this, are my Seattle Seahawks. In that schedule, I mean, barring, unless they pull have a crazy upset tonight, they've got Dallas next week, then San Fran, then Philly. I mean, if I'm a Seahawks fan right now, I'm hoping to win one of those four. I mean, obviously you want to win all of them, but you're sitting here and all of a sudden if Seattle goes 1-3 or even 0-4 in those games, and Green Bay can, win a few of those games that are winnable, this thing's going to tighten up very, very quickly.
So, quick update here on the afternoon game. Again, Hayes and Bro laying the points, Cowboys minus 12.5. We have ourselves a scoring update. The Dallas Cowboys have punched in 6 with the PAT. That makes it 7-0.
Parts,
Al's brother, Partsy, what a pleasure seeing you this afternoon. What an absolute pleasure.
Isn't it a great Thursday? It's just a tremendous Thursday. And while I was sitting here listening to you guys, had the TV, watch our guy, Rico Dowdle. A nice little screen, 15-yard scamper right into the end zone. Just the 7 of the 12 that we need, pal. 7 of the
Was it a scamper? Was it a scamper? I like that. It was
little
a scamper.
Little scamper.
My favorite type of touchdown is a scamper. Well, I mean, do you want to finish your thought? Because, we got Al's brother here. We got more picks, but it sounded like you were about to say something very seriously to your partner.
Partsy, I will admit, when it was +7, it was creeping around +8. I thought these guys were dead. And with the addition of Al's brother and the mojo that Hayes and Bro has accumulated over the last 2 weeks, I think for the first time we have to admit that we are in some trouble here. Or talk me out of it.
This is a complete fluke here, Partsy. Stay the course, my guy. We got jammed up by the Lions. As we've been jammed up by the Lions, everyone on planet Earth gets jammed up by the Lions. I got a feeling we'll get a nice late cover by the Commanders. We'll be back to square one. We'll win tonight, and they won't win tomorrow. Take a deep breath here. When it comes down to this thing, even if they end up crawling back within 1 or even, that over the long term, we're going to dominate these guys. This is a complete fluke, Partsy. Settle down. We're in great hands over here.
This is amateur hour. It's amateur hour, Al's brother. And here's why these guys just don't understand, right? This is what they don't have that we have. They are locked in.
We get it, you loser. You have tremendous information.
Absolutely.
Plus gut instinct. Exactly. And listen, my gut instinct, it applies on the field and off the field. Al's brother's tremendous information exists on planet Earth and off planet Earth. Al's brother, please supply us with the definition of tremendous information that you found last night that led you to believe there was absolutely a 0% chance the Lions were going to win and cover today. Please explain.
Yeah, I believe what I said was Pack are winning this thing, and that was last night. And it's exactly what happened because here's a stat for you guys. Since the AFL and NFL merger, the Lions are 0-12 on Thanksgiving when the moon is in a waxing gibbous phase. It was in a waxing gibbous phase today, and they moved to 0-13.
Yes, dude. Have you ever heard better information than that, Noodles? Be honest. A waxing gibbous phase. The Lions had no shot.
Guys, you got to know that information.
Do you even know what that is? Explain to me what that is, Al's brother.
That's an L for you guys. That's all I need to know. It's an L for you guys.
That's exactly what it means. And that's the information that you need.
Do you understand now? These guys are clowns. They're jesters, man. Don't let them worry you. They're
a
clowns.
waxing gibbous phase.
I promise you.
Well, they are straight ass clowns, is what they are.
Well, that leads us into more picks tomorrow and into Sunday. And Al's brother, you and I were on the clock tomorrow. Jets, Dolphins laying 9.5. I was trying to get a read on, the Milky Way tomorrow, what, the direction of the Earth and all that kind of stuff. I have a feeling I know where it's going. But why don't you take the reins here, explain who we like, and I can come over the top as well as to why. So we're on the clock. Dolphins laying 9.5 against the Jets tomorrow.
Yeah, it seems like the Earth is tilting towards the Jets to cover that number tomorrow at plus 9.5. It's in New York. It's at MetLife Stadium. It's a bit of a high spread when you look at it. It's a low total for tomorrow. But here, you look at the Jets. They've actually played hard as home dogs. They've covered and beat the Bills like they did in Week 1 at home. They covered an 8-point spread against the Chiefs in Week 4. They covered a 6.5-point spread as dogs against Philly. All of those games at MetLife on their own home turf. It's exactly where the game's going to be tomorrow. And I don't think that Tim Boyle is going to be that much of a downgrade over Zach Wilson. So the fact that Jets backers have been gifted an extra 2 points from when this line first started this week from that new information. I'll take the 2 points gladly, and we'll roll with the Jets.
Yes, we will. Jets. We love
Jets,
it, Timmy
Jets,
Boyle.
Jets.
We love the
on
Jets.
Your ass.
We'll take the points. Tim Boyle on your ass. That's what it's going to be, a Boyle on your ass tomorrow. Because this cat is going to come in.
It'll be uncomfortable as hell, O-Dog.
Very uncomfortable, these guys, after Tim Boyle puts on a clinic tomorrow. They're going to simplify things. I think this is a morale boost. Getting Zach Wilson out of there is a morale boost on offense and on defense. I haven't loved what I've seen out of Miami now for a couple of weeks, and that defense will be electric tomorrow. MetLife 9.5. This is a lock. Divisional game. You can't talk me out of the Jets covering tomorrow.
I mean, that might be the worst idea I've ever heard. And this is going to be up there for the worst pick in OverDrive history after we talk tomorrow. Let me explain something to you. Jets defense, how'd they do against the Bills, whose offense could do nothing for the last 6 weeks? Let me answer that. They looked terrible. You guys are riding with Tim Boyle? I mean, are you
on your ass
against a Jets team? Or against a Jets team?
Yeah.
I mean, against a Miami team that's going to win the division?
No.
Are you guys nuts?
Yeah, we are.
Tim Boyle?
Yeah, we're seeing it clearly, man. The Boyles, they're the ointment. We've been what have we been doing? Rubbing stuff on the
massaging the ointment
We've
here.
been massaging the ointment, and we see a clear board. And we love the Jets tomorrow.
The Finns' offense though hasn't been great. Like let's be honest here. They've scored
I got
20.
The game rumbling. Yeah.
It's all good. Okay, don't worry about us, man. You guys got to concern yourselves with your own picks. Go ahead.
The Commanders will cover this game. We will win tonight. You will lose tomorrow. We were 2-0 last weekend. I get jammed up by Lions, and I'm on Twitter. You're asking for an apology. Now, what's going on, Partsy? I'm confused, man.
Yeah, it's bad blood, man. That's what I can tell you.
I take it back. It was just frustration.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the Sunday games here, because tomorrow will be a bit of a gong show with the Leaf game and all that. So you guys are on the clock. Jags versus my Texans, C.J. Stroud. Jacksonville laying 2 in Houston. Who do you like and why?
I thought it was 1.5. Now 2?
I'm
Doesn't
seeing
matter.
2. I mean,
we're taking the Jags.
You're on the Jags?
We're taking the Jags.
Okay.
We're taking the Jags. C.J. Stroud, love the guy. He's playing well. All good things have to come to an end. The Jags, it's their division. Outside of a San Fran game, they've played well all year. Trevor Lawrence, big moment for him. They got to solidify their spot as the division leader here. Jags roll. I like them by 6 or 7 this game. Easy pick. Timo and Wilson, put it on the board.
Okay. Yeah, and you're right. It's at 1.5. Lock that in. Jags 1.5. Listen, they got a good history in Houston. They do have a good history in Houston. But I think for the first time in a long time, the better quarterback is playing for the Texans. The better quarterback is playing for the Houston Texans. My man C.J. Stroud gets a win and solidifies top spot in the MVP chase Sunday, which only will help Hazenbrough. Moving to the afternoon games. Al's brother, you and I were on the Bills-Eagles. This thing opened, Eagles 3.5. It's down to 3. So the little half-point hook there is officially off the board. Eagles laying 3 at home against Buffalo. Tremendous information. Please supply it.
I like the fact that we're getting that hook off the board. I'll be honest, I was a little worried at 3.5, but at 3, I think I'm on board with taking the Philadelphia Eagles at home. They're 9-1. They've won 4 in a row with covers against Miami, against Dallas, against Kansas City. They're beating good teams. They're winning the games that they should. And look, Buffalo just 1-3 on the year on the road. You got Philly, who's undefeated, and ultimately, I just think that this Eagles team's a better team. Like, we've seen the Bills struggle of late. Yeah, they had a nice bounce back last week, but that was inspired, right? Coming off of them firing their OC. Let's see if they can replicate it against a solid Eagles team. I just don't see it happening. I think that we definitely see a 3-point victory by the Eagles.
I don't disagree with that. I think the Eagles will absolutely dismantle and destroy the Bills.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I'll lock in the Eagles. I'll say this, though. Hearing you say I just don't see it happening, it has a different ring when it's on my side, man.
Yeah.
A very different ring to it.
Concerning? Is that what
it is?
it is?
It's a little bit of PTSD, but I'm with you, man. Like, here's my only concern. I'm on the Eagles. Lock it in. Eagles coming off an emotional win last week. Could be a letdown this week, and it's more necessary for the Bills. This is a borderline must-win game, but the Eagles are just a better team. They're a clear-cut better team. They're at home. They're chasing top spot, obviously, not only in the NFC, but maybe in the East if the Cowboys keep chugging. Yeah, I like the Eagles. Only laying 3, we'll take it all day long.
Yes, sir.
All right. You want to chime in there, Luke? You can't even. What are you going to say?
I would have taken the Eagles as well. I'm a huge Eagles guy. I like going to the Super Bowl. That being said, hopefully the version of Josh Allen that we haven't seen consistently all year shows up, shreds his terrible secondary, and we cover the points. And at that point, I'll be claiming I'm the biggest Bills fan on planet Earth.
Okay. All right. Leads us into the Sunday Nighter, where this is I feel like we play a Chargers game every single week. And we play the Ravens every week. It's Ravens across the country in L.A. Ravens laying 3.5 against the Chargers. Who do you like and why?
We're taking the Ravens. And to be honest with you, the line is what scares me the most. I'm not sure why this line isn't much larger, the 3.5. But you look at the Chargers, I mean, they just lost to Green Bay. The Ravens still need to continue to win. With the loss of Kansas City, they're sitting in the 1 seed right now. The Ravens got to keep their foot on the gas. I also really like, and I think we'll see this develop here, this Keaton Mitchell kid is going to be a nice compliment to Gus the Bus. So I think they'll come out here, try and establish the run a bit. That being said, the Chargers up front 7 is stout. So they're going to have to sling the ball around, and they got a very bad secondary, as I've mentioned numerous times. But I like Lamar running for his life around here, outside of these guys, getting open, extending plays. Odell's coming on. This has the makings. It could be a blowout. And I also think the Ravens defense don't allow that many points to Justin Herbert. We're taking the Ravens.
Okay.
Sweep City. Sweep City.
Yeah, I feel great about
City.
where we're at. I really do. I agree with you, Alice, brother. Baltimore going across the country, never easy. Herbert's at any point can come alive. Staley, a bit of a stiff of a coach, but every once in a while he
Lions
puts
just
it
went
together.
across the country and beat the Chargers. Why?
Yeah.
Why is it such a big deal now, you dummy?
Look,
Because
the
you
Chargers
guys
don't
picked
need.
them.
The Chargers don't need to win this game. They just got to keep it to within a field goal.
That's
They've
right.
lost 6 games this year. Only once have they not kept it to within a field goal game. The Detroit, the Green Bay game, Dallas, Miami, all within a field goal. That's all we need. A maybe 20-17 game, 23-20 game. That's a cover, and that's Sweep City.
I love the way you think, Alice, brother. I love the way you think, and I think you just hit the nail on the head. 27-24 Ravens, which will put us +2, +3. I'm losing sight of the numbers, man.
Don't forget, no Joey Bosa. No Joey Bosa.
Yeah, no Mark Andrews.
He's hurt all the time.
Andrews.
Exactly, no Mark Andrews.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely is going to ball out. Come on now, man.
Yeah. His one catch for 4 yards last time he was out there did wonders for Baltimore.
His brother comes over the top.
Wow.
That's tight end talk.
I just don't see it happening.
Offensively?
That is dunking on a tight end, a Super Bowl winning tight end when you're doing tight end smack talk. I never thought I'd see the day, but I love it. We should point out the Commanders are on the board at 7-3. 7-3, Cowboys are getting the ball back, so we'll see what happens here, right? We still relayed a lot of points, but there's a lot of ball game left. Al's brother, absolute pleasure seeing you as always. Luke, good luck this weekend, pal. We'll catch you in the group chat tonight.
Talk soon.
There he is, Luke Willson, man. He's bitter. He's not a happy man. He is not in a good place. Thank you, Al's brother.
There's a crack there.
I feel
big
like
crack. There's some separation. There's some infighting.
Yes, there is.
That's what
we
it is.
just need a positive weekend, and it'll all be good.
Yeah. Hey, listen. This afternoon, I hate betting on the Cowboys. Like relying on the Cowboys to take it home for you is never a comfortable feeling. It's like betting on the Lions.
I thought today, I'm like, okay, Lions, like you've been garbage for so long. Like for once, just do the right thing and beat the Packers, and then everyone will actually. I'm telling you, Nance and Romo were saying when they won that game, you might be seeing these guys in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And after today, they're right just back to being a laughingstock to some degree.
Yep.
Because nobody can trust them. That's the thing. With what they've done in the past and with Jerry Goff and Campbell and all of the nonsense in the past history of the Lions, no one can trust it.
Yeah, that's right. Like you have to change your reputation, man. Like
and today was one of those days where it could have been like a changing of the guard where it's like these really, really aren't the same old Lions.
Well,
they do have a good record, but they soiled themselves.
That's right. And you know what's happening all over the U.S., the grizzled uncle that's like, they stink, I told you.
They've always stunk.
Yeah, it's happening right now, coast to coast, because there's 50 million people watching. And they're like, they lost again. Of course they did. Yeah. And against that team, like the Packers have owned the NFC North for 30 years. And that was tough to watch if you're a Lions fan. All right, Bruce Boudreau in just over half an hour. Richard Griffin in about an hour on these Bo Bichette rumors, Shohei Ohtani rumors. How much of it is true? How much of it is false? That more still to come. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
The Commanders suck so bad.
Yeah,
so bad.
Cowboys just punched in another touchdown. So that's probably going to be 14-3. There's a lot of time left, but you're banking on Sam Howell and that offense to keep up because,
I'm not kidding. I've never heard that name before in my life.
Ricky Howell? Yeah, it's not a household name. It's not a household name.
Thurston Howell.
Yeah, the third.
I was going to come in. There was years ago where I think people were giving it to Jerry Jones for taking CeeDee Lamb because it was like an unnecessary type of selection where they needed to address the defense. I don't think anybody's saying that anymore. Like, that guy is good.
He's a stud.
He is a stud.
He's a stud. He absolutely is. And there were 3 wideouts that went in that same draft. Jerry Jeudy went to Denver, and was it Huggs or Suggs, the guy that went to Vegas, and then he got in that accident, killed somebody, and he's not in the league anymore.
Oh, yeah. It was Suggs, wasn't it?
Yes. I can't remember his name. Henry Suggs the third or something. Ruggs. Henry Ruggs. That was it. And then CeeDee Lamb was the third, and you're right. There was you don't need that. You have other wideouts. You need help elsewhere, and he's a legit number one. Like, he is a legit, top 5 target in the NFL now.
He's damn good.
He's really good. And I can't imagine he's being booed by people in Dallas, right? But if he were, or if someone on the opposition was being booed, there's always a chance Gregg Popovich could be there, and he wants to let everyone know that you're not supposed to do that. because I saw something that I've never seen in pro sports before. That's a rarity. It is very rare. I've been on this earth for 40 years. I've been watching sports intently for 30, and I've been doing this for a living for 15. I've never seen what I saw last night, and I never thought in a million years this would even be a possibility for a head coach or anyone else who was on the field of play to grab the in-stadium microphone and start speaking to the crowd while the game is ongoing.
Go ahead and fire it up.
All right, let me set the scene here. Kawhi, the Clippers were back in San Antonio, and obviously we know about Kawhi, drafted there, developed there, won a title there, Finals MVP, injured, got out, wanted out, comes to the Raptors. We all know that history. So when he returns, naturally, they boo him. Right? That happens with every great player that leaves any town in any sport around the world. You get booed. And he was getting booed. He was at the line last night, and this is what happened.
80% from the line on the season. And Kawhi with 8 points tonight, 3 of 5 from the floor. It is only 3.
Excuse me for a second.
Pops on the mic.
We stop all the booing and let these guys play. It's got no class. It's not who we are. Knock off the booing.
Pop telling the fans to lay off Kawhi Leonard. But that's not San Antonio.
Well, I don't believe I've ever seen that.
So
that is a big miss from Pop, man.
I've never seen that.
Do you know how arrogant you have to be to do that?
I know.
Do you know how arrogant you have to be and feel like you're better than everybody else?
I know, dude.
To walk up to a microphone and start scolding people on booing. Like,
I didn't know the extent of it. I thought he was just I was reading the tweets, and I thought it might have been just on, like, the sidelines going like this, making gestures with his hands.
Yeah, he made
to
an
grab the mic and be making noise like that on the building sound system is such a miss. Like, just, you fans, by the way, your team's terrible again.
Yes, they're awful.
Even with Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, they love to hate a guy that used to play there. And the way he left there and everything that went into it, you got to just be quiet, Pop. You were way off base with that one,
he's
man.
He's so obnoxious. He's so arrogant. He's so insufferable. He's preachy. He's better than you. And he's been doing this his whole career. And he got away with it because he won 5 rings and they won a lottery.
He's such a D-bag in interviews to people. He's the worst than anyone.
He's the worst. And like, I honestly feel like that's a borderline fireable offense. Like, I don't know what the fans are going to be doing in response. I love that they booed even louder. Like, they should boo every time they walk in. That team is terrible, and they got Wembanyama, and Pop has been doing nothing since Kawhi left. They've been terrible. He's just been playing his bench, go out there. He's just basically waiting to retire whenever he wants to. And, like, to the sanctimony, the idea that you get on a mic and start scolding adults at a professional sporting event.
If it was throwing beers or something, I
get that.
It. Yeah.
Totally get that. Listen, I can give you examples where, let's say he's standing there on the bench and someone in the front row behind him is yelling obscenities and he turns around and goes, "Hey, shut up." I'm with you on that.
Right.
Totally. If someone's throwing stuff on the floor or whatever, there's brawls breaking out, hey, get on there and say, "Everyone cool down." Booing a guy at the line and you walk over and get the mic, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it last night. And you want to hear, it gets crazier because after the game, his explanation for why he did that, for starters, is completely bogus. But also even more insulting, I think, to the average fan. Here's what Gregg Popovich had to say after the game, after his team lost again, they're 3-12, on why he decided it was his job to play everyone's dad last night and scold them on booing Kawhi Leonard at the line.
Well, I think anybody that knows anything about sports, you don't poke the bear.
But you told the fans that it was.
I just told you why I did it.
What? Can you clarify that though? What?
I spoke English. I just told you. Anybody that knows anything about sports knows you don't poke the bear. That's my answer.
Pop, just one more on the what you said to the fans. Was that something?
That's all I need to say. I don't know how you want me to. You want me to make up a different answer?
No, I'm asking.
I gave you the answer. There's no other questions that need to be asked.
You didn't want Kawhi.
Anybody else?
To have you didn't want Kawhi to be motivated by the booing. Is that what you mean?
You know exactly what I mean. You don't poke the bear.
That's the dumbest thing. That's dumber than getting on the mic.
It's way worse because now he's pretending it was strategic. Really? That's why? Hey, I was strategizing. We don't want to poke the bear. Your team stinks.
They knew they were going to lose. Yeah.
So what is he going to do the next time when he wants someone to be booed? Is he going to grab the mic again and say, "Can you guys get a little bit lively and start booing this guy?" He should have just said, "You know what? I was way off base grabbing that microphone. I got a soft spot for Kawhi. He meant so much to this, and to hear the booing, it just put me in a place that I just shouldn't have done it. And I'm sorry."
Yeah. That's the explanation that can soften it. That, hey, I love Kawhi. Yes, it ended poorly, but he did a lot for us. He won us a title. He'll always be my guy. And that's where I was
show
coming.
Him a little respect. Yeah,
exactly. I was coming from it, and I shouldn't have done it, but I was coming from it I love Kawhi, and I wish he was beloved by all of you.
But his own current players have got to be thinking, why doesn't this guy just let it go with Kawhi?
Get him,
man.
Honestly, I don't know how. Like, if you're in ownership, you're like, we're going to let this guy coach Victor Wembanyama. Like, I know he's a great coach. He's a Hall of Famer. He won 5 titles, but like that. And just the way he's standing up there, I said it in English. He's so arrogant. He's so arrogant. It's outrageous. Like, that's something you see in college. You know, like Mike Krzyzewski telling a student section to stop booing.
Dude, not even. Not even.
Not even. But in college, they're arrogant enough because they own everything. They run everything. They're the top dog.
Yeah, maybe in a timeout or something. I don't know. It was just really bizarre. It's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen.
We all knew what he was doing. He was giving Kawhi a little bit of respect there. Yes. All he had to do was just say it. Listen, this guy did a lot for us, and I loved him as a player, and that's it. Like, even if he because guys like that aren't going to apologize. They just don't do it. They don't apologize. But he could have had a more sincere, answer.
Jamie, it was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He said, if you know anything about sports, you don't poke the bear. Yeah. Also, Pop, if you know anything about sports, people love having a villain in their home building, and they love booing him. So just shut up. That's insane talk.
Yeah, I didn't like
it's insane talk.
It's lying. It's not true. Didn't, because he said be classy. That's not us. What the hell does that mean? Like, that has nothing to do with poking the bear. He had a moment where he just lost it and went up there and said something that is absolutely ridiculous to say. And if you know pro sports, you know that those fans are paying your salary for the most part.
If I was the owner, I would make him make an apology to the meet. Like, a public apology. That's embarrassing.
But that's afterwards, him being like so, rigid, and I said it in English. Like, are you kidding me, dude?
Yeah,
like, you did something stupid, and the media's they're not going to grill you because you're a big fish in a small pond. It's San Antonio. You're Gregg Popovich. Everyone's terrified of you, but and now I'd love to know if he will address it in the future, because I can't imagine that story's going to go away. Like, could you imagine if someone did, like, Sheldon Keefe grabbed the mic?
Yeah. He ran into the penalty box.
That's what's insane about it, though, is he actually went up and probably had to tell somebody, turn this thing on.
Right. Absolutely.
Because it's not just a live mic there. Like, it's probably
and
controlled.
Someone did it.
Yes.
Well, because
Pop.
It's Pop. He's like, turn this on for me. Kawhi was about to shoot his second shot. Like, sorry, excuse me, everybody. Like, that's what's so weird about it is he interrupts Kawhi shooting the shot, too, going, hey, like, enough with the booing here. That's not us. Like,
it's like at a wedding noodles where the priest goes, if anyone has something to say, they don't want these two to be married. Have you ever actually heard someone stand up and say yes?
Exactly what that
no
is.
one does it.
Nobody
no one does it.
Or it's the guy who you're like, all right, anyone want to say something in the speeches, and he's buckled, and you're like, you can't let him get there.
No.
Because he'll say something so offside. And I I don't know. I can't believe that he would do that. I've never seen anything like it. I can't.
If I was the owner, I'd make
him.
him apologize and say anything like that in the future. That's it, regardless of who you are or who you think you are.
Like, I wonder what Adam Silver thinks. Like that. You're scolding like adults in the crowd. That are booing. They're not doing anything ridiculous.
He might get fined. You could actually. I wonder if you could get fined for that, because you're right. Bigger picture. You're trying to deter people from doing that. Like, if Adam Silver probably steps in, or maybe calls the owner and says, you can't ever have him do that again. That's a bad look for our league. We don't want that to happen. The fans are pissed because, Pop's a legend, but guaranteed there's fans there that were pissed last night going, you're walking away going, I paid a lot of money to watch this team lose. Yes, you've got the golden goose there in Wembanyama, but I think bigger picture, you are kind of pissed because you should be able to boo if you don't like a player, a villain, and that. Like,
you're probably going to the game. You're going to the game to see Wemby and to boo Kawhi. That's what you're doing last night. It's a big game. It's the night before Thanksgiving. They're 3-12. They've been awful for years, right? And that's another thing with Popovich. Like, 5 rings, Hall of Famer, statue outside, all that stuff.
Right.
But it's been years. Like, Duncan retired a long time ago. Kawhi left a long time ago, and they've been awful. And this is what he brings to the table. At a minimum, you would think the league would put a new rule in. If you're a coach, you cannot touch a microphone while the game's is being played. Like, at a minimum,
just listen,
forward.
Say that back to yourself.
I know. Think about how ridiculous that is.
It's insane.
It is. Like, that rule has to be clarified in the CBA or whatever. Coaches, during the game, the microphone is not allowed, or you'll be fined. Anyway, after the game, Steve Kerr hit the mic last night.
This might be, this is old man yelling at the clouds. This is me. This is me on the mic.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Music loud.
Steve Kerr's just an old, crusty. They're in Phoenix last night, and here's what he had to say about the atmosphere in the building.
In this building, you can't hear anything because it's like a club. It's like a South Beach club out there. What are we doing? I'm being dead serious. Like, I couldn't hear anything out there. It's just the whole game. It's just this thumping techno club music. Can we just have a basketball game anymore? What the hell? Sorry for the rant.
Yeah, he doesn't like the music. Too loud. So he might be onto something. I didn't hear it last night. I know we've been down to Raptors games. I've been down to a bunch where it gets loud at times, but that's the nature of entertainment.
I've never heard of. I've been to Raps games. I've never heard it to a point where it's like, oh my God, this is annoying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And he was being serious. He's like, that has got to stop. It's like being at a club in Miami. So yeah, Steve Kerr is crusty. Pop is crusty.
Of crusty people.
I
remember my first ever Raptors game years ago. I remember, I can't remember, I think I was with Jamal Mayer, so I leaned over to him and I said, I think they forgot to turn the music off. I didn't realize, that they had music during the play.
Right.
So it was, it's an atmosphere. And I kept thinking to myself, geez, the in-game person forgot, usually it's music at stoppages, and then when it's back on, music goes off. This is music the whole time.
The whole time.
I swear I leaned over. It was like, I think he forgot to turn the music off. He's like, this is it. This was years ago, years. It was.
Well, that's it, and it's, I guess, louder now than it ever has been.
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere, though. Great atmosphere.
Well, it's a different. Every sport's different. Everyone's like, you go to a baseball game, there's nothing. You go to a hockey game, it's in between stoppages of play. Football games, basketball games, it's all different. Bruce Boudreau in 20. Richard Griffin coming up in about 45. Leafs back in action tomorrow and in Pittsburgh on Saturday. We'll keep teeing that up. And we're tracking the Cowboys-Commanders game. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, TSN 1050's Leafs lineup is your chance to win Leaf tickets every week all season long. Every weekday we'll announce a current or former Maple Leaf player, and on Fridays you'll have a chance to call in and name the Leaf lineup of the week. Name all the players in the lineup. You'll score a pair of tickets to an upcoming Leaf game. This week, we're giving away a pair of tickets to see the Leafs take on the Bruins December 2nd. Plus, we're throwing in a $250 Vanilla Visa prepaid card. Again, with each pair of tickets to make it the ultimate game night. Vanilla Visa prepaid cards are available for purchase at Petro-Canada. And today's player of the day is Peter Ing. Peter Ing. your player of the day.
Mike Petering.
Yes, it's old school goaltender week here, man. That's how we operate on this program.
Love it.
So, Petering. It's your Maple Leaf player of the day. The Leafs are back in action tomorrow. John Klingberg placed on the long-term IR. He hasn't been playing anyway, and I think Mike Johnson was on this morning. He was on with us early in the week. He was on the Bird, I guess, flying to Sweden and back, and he said the guy is not in a good place.
It kind of, I don't know, it happened somewhat quickly. Like his first couple exhibition games, I'm like, this guy actually looks not bad. Yeah. And then it was like, he took some time off, and then it was just kind of back, missed a game, and then it was like everyone was saying, yeah, this guy's probably going on long-time injured reserve, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And then, sure as hell, it happens. I'm like, man, that kind of snowballed rather quickly.
It happened quickly. Because remember, he came out for the Calgary game, then went back in against
the
Vancouver.
next night.
Right. The next
I'm like,
night,
okay, the guy's
well.
I thought to myself it was almost like a little healthy scratch.
Yeah.
Where it's like, take a moment to yourself, watch from the press box, and then play tomorrow.
Wow.
And now he's, done for the year?
Possibly. I mean, that's not official, but it seems to be trending in that direction.
Robida Island.
Yeah. So that will free up $4.1 million, which is an awful way to look at it. Like, that's the nature of the salary cap and why it sucks so much that, a guy gets injured and the cap frees up and it's like, oh, there's a positive. Like, there shouldn't be a positive to an injury.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
But that's the way the salary cap works. All right, final hour coming up. Bruce Boudreau will join us. Richard Griffin will join us. Our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. 14-10. Commanders just punched in 6.
Who's my guy? Sam Hollowell?
Sammy Howell, yeah. So
Sammy
it's a
Howell.
tight game right
Thurston.
now.
Yeah.
Tight game with Thurston and the boys. Final hour coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.